Hello and welcome to the Father and Son Pastime Podcast. I'm Patrick.
I'm Kevin. How are you?
This is my dad. We are just recording back to back podcasts today, so I'm already starting to feel it. My dad's still a champ hanging in there normal. I'm already starting to get silly.
He's on a third beverage.
I'm on my third beverage. Yes. Thanks, Dugout Mugs.
Product placement.
Yeah, for free, actually. Dad, obviously, let's try to. I'll do my best to get back on track. We're talking offseason outlook. We're talking NL West, hence the shirt of the Padres. Clearly, we're going to say that Arizona or Colorado wins 2022. I mean,
Sure.
Obviously,
Sure.
No, they're going to be awful. We're going to talk about, obviously, the losses of each team, the needs of each teams, not so much the predictions. Hopefully, if this is one of your teams, we do it justice. But feel free to comment below if we missed something, or maybe you want to add something in about their season or a need that maybe we didn't get a chance to, like the Padres. You know, what happened to Jace Tingler? Like do you need to forget about Tingler? Maybe, I don't know. Dad, where do you want to start? You want to start from bottom up, or like start with the Giants? Start with top down?
Let's go top down.
All right, let's start with Giants.
Yeah, because I think that's most interesting.
All right, let's immediately start talking about Buster Posey. So that's
loss.
the biggest loss for the Giants.
For any team so far this offseason.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's our cornerstone. I mean, I like Brandon Belt. I don't think anyone in San Francisco would rather pick Belt over Posey.
He's the face.
I agree. I hope Bart, their catcher in waiting, can step in and just...
They almost traded him this offseason. I mean, at the deadline, he almost went to the Cubs in a blockbuster, but thank God they hung on to him.
Yeah, I agree. I hope maybe he's the face. Maybe he becomes Rookie of the Year. I don't think he needs to. I think he just needs to perform adequately.
Defensively, he needs to be tough.
He needs to be tough. He needs to maybe... It's just too big of shoes to fill. So just try to make a difference. We're recording this again on the 27th of November. They just released Alex Dickerson, which is a little surprise to me. I know he's sort of like a non-tender candidate, but just outright released him. So that's another hole or a loss.
I wonder if that was a money move or a roster move. Maybe they're bringing up some players that need to create space. You never know.
He had a decent 2019-2020, so I don't know. Talking about their losses, though, let's talk about pitching. Everyone but Wood, I believe, is basically the best way to say that. Again, recording this on the 27th, they got DeSclafani, hard name to say.
He's back.
Anthony DeSclafani. He's back. I know they're trying to bring back Wood. Sorry, Webb's there, and Wood needs to get on the team. I know there's at this podcast they're still like talking about terms. Nothing's finalized yet, but they still need to bring at least two more starters back in the fold. Relief's okay, bullpen's okay, but left field / outfield situation with Dickerson being gone, they need to find out what to do with Yaz and Wade.
I agree. They have some. I think offensively they need to add some pieces, but give them credit. Give them credit to start to finish in the toughest division in baseball. To win 103 games really was impressive. You got to give Gabe some credit for keeping those guys together. You always heard these great reports out of San Francisco that they were having fun. They liked each other, but boy, when you're the face of the franchise that says, I'm done, you're like, ugh, that's a monster hole to fill. We'll see what they do. That one is much bigger than just having a catcher. That one's the personality of the club and everything else. So leadership. How are they going to replace that?
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Re-signing Brandon Belt was a good move so far in the offseason. I think two more pitchers, including Wood, is smart.
Gossman's a big one, question mark.
Yeah, I think... I understand where they're going, re-signing a lot of people. I think a lot of people don't want to leave their club. I think they like Kapler. I think that's a big factor.
Yeah.
I think bringing in a new face of the outfield for a new bat. I don't think Bryant gets re-signed. But I think there's a bigger name in the free agency pool that goes to San Francisco for a hitter as well as a pitcher. But I do think people like Cueto or Wood here gets re-signed. But no, I don't think Gossman does. They do have money. They do have money to play with.
I think Gossman will leave for, something else as well. But at the same time, to duplicate what they did, gonna be tough to do.
Yes.
We'll see what happens. But right now, if you had to choose somebody in the division is going to be first, it may not be the Giants, just because they're going to have to add to the pieces. We'll see what the GM does. He's a very good GM, very smart. So we'll see what we can do in the offseason. But again, made a nice trade at the deadline, getting Chris Bryant. He added, but again, he's not coming back.
Yeah.
So they have to get smart because there's some holes to fill.
I think biggest advantage that the Giants have versus anyone in the division right now is their financial ability to spend. Padres are, as we just saw today, Padres are trying to shed payroll via trades. The Dodgers are crazy payroll, but who knows how far they're willing to spend. Giants have the most money to spend than anyone else in that division.
And I think they're very thought-provoking when they do spend money. It's not just, out of left field, they come up with things and we'll sign this person, whatever. There's other questions in the division. Giants just have to kind of the next 3 months are very important for the Giants.
Yeah. Well, let's go right to the biggest divisional rivals with LA. The Dodgers, 2020 World Series champs, did not repeat in 2021.
Stunned. They were stunned.
Yes, they were stunned, and they're losing a good amount.
Yeah.
Possible losses: Kershaw, Chris Taylor, Corey Seager. Stop me when you're overwhelmed. Kenley Jansen, Max Scherzer, and then the slighter names are Joe Kelly, if you call Albert Pujols, and Corey Knebel.
That's a lot of talent.
If all those people walk, the Dodgers look like a completely different team. Kenley Jansen's never played for anyone else, I don't think. Kershaw definitely hasn't. And Corey Seager. I mean, these people are Dodgers.
Yeah.
And to see them in different uniforms is a scary thought.
Yeah. I think they'll lose the majority of those folks.
I think so too.
Yeah, because LA,
because money.
Yeah, I think LA's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
Dugout's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I can see 4 of those guys leaving for different cities, and then they have to, fill in the pieces. Yeah. They are in, the next couple months are very important for the Dodgers as well.
Yeah. I wrote down, is there any money left as a big need of the offseason? The other big need is figure out Trevor Bauer. Very similar to New York with Robinson Cano for different reasons, obviously. But if Trevor Bauer stays on the roster, is, whatever by MLB, granted back into his contract, they don't have the money to re-sign Clayton Kershaw. I know that Dodgers says, we'll find the money or whatever. You guys are at $216 million already.
Yeah.
Without arbitration, without signing any of these holes that you need, which you need.
And Major League Baseball is not going to take on a headache and a PR situation that is not good for the game. You know what? And then as a pitcher, if you don't pitch, your arm is not the same.
Right.
So, and he wasn't liked in the clubhouse to begin with.
Right. And they're already they signed Andrew Heaney. Out of all the people you could sign, that's your move. I think that was dumb. LA. I didn't get that one. But I don't know. There's just a lot of issues.
They made a move just to make a move.
Yeah.
There's some teams that do that.
I think they'll lose Chris Taylor. Very similar to losing Kike. Chris Taylor's going to get money in a starting role in some other place in 2022.
2-3-year contract.
Sure, and he deserves it, just like Kike did. I'm worried about the Dodgers, where the money comes from, where it's all coming from, because they're deep past the tax threshold now. Yeah. What does the CBA do to the Dodgers?
Correct.
But they need, if Bauer doesn't come back, then they could go get Kershaw. I don't know if there's enough money for both those people playing normally. If you're a Dodgers fan, you're rooting for Trevor to get out of his contract somehow legally. You don't owe him a dime, and then you can get Clayton back before another team swoops in. He is still Clayton Kershaw. I know he's older. I know there's been some injuries. Justin Verlander just got 2 years, $50 million.
Yeah.
Clayton Kershaw's 7 years younger than him, 8 years younger than him. Kershaw's going to get him money.
I read something about Kershaw this morning about the second half of the season. He didn't pitch hardly at all, and when he did try to pitch, it wasn't pretty. So there's something physically wrong with his arm. What it is, I don't know. But right now, do you take that chance of somebody and then put all your money in aging pitchers? That's another big question. I'm not sure what the answer is.
Max Muncy was out in the playoffs due to an injury too, so I hope Bellinger finds a swing again. He had a little promise in the playoffs, was hitting a little bit better. Betts is still the best player on that team. Trey Turner is a close second.
Yeah. Trey's got a hell of a future, and that was a great trade that they made at the deadline.
Yep.
Got him to the almost the pinnacle of that division. Mm-hmm. You got to give him credit to come on hard like they did in the second half. Mm-hmm. Took it to the last day of the season.
Yeah.
So
I'm very happy that I guess I'm very happy for Dodgers and Dodgers fans that you were able to get Trey so you could let Corey Seager walk. Because, again, there's not enough money to re-sign Corey Seager, Kershaw, and Kenley Jansen. I'll take any bet with a Dodgers fan that not all three of those people get re-signed. Maybe you'll get two. I think that would be a great walkway, but I just see Corey taking a starting role, probably in pinstripes. But we'll get into predictions later. But I just don't see him returning.
Left-handed hitter.
Yeah. So, Dodgers, good luck with your offseason. You're going to have some questions to address, and you're not going to have as much financial room to play with.
Tough decisions.
Yeah.
You let Clayton go to a team that I think he'll end up with. That's going to be a tough goodbye.
Yeah.
Because he was Mr. Dodger. I mean,
yeah,
he did all the commercials and everything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's go to San Diego. Let's go to the team probably overall in 2021 who had the biggest hype. Maybe the Mets were equal to them with the biggest disappointment.
I agree. And they choked.
Right. They're overall not losing a lot of pieces. Mark Melanson and Tommy Pham are really their only two losses. They've already traded, however, lovely Adam Frazier, their
Great
utility
little player.
man.
Yeah, great little player.
So he can get a starting role at Seattle. They have one of the few things that in this offseason an excess of, which is catching. I think they line up very positive with a few teams that need a catcher, need a backup catcher. Nola, Carantini, and their rookie Campusano, who obviously they're not going to trade. They're going to trade one of the other two, probably Nola, in my opinion, to a team and get some relief for him. But I can see that being a package with, hey, why don't you take Nola and Myers, or Nola and Hosmer, or Nola and Snell, Nola and Darvish. So I can, maybe even all three. So we can see the Padres starting to shed a little bit of their payroll to free up to make a difference in free agency. Although I don't see them. I have zero people of the top 50 free agents signing with San Diego. I don't see a true hole yet. I don't have a crystal ball to see how they're going to trade people. I did think that Adam Frazier would get traded. That was a weird acquisition midseason to begin with. Too many pitchers on the pitching staff. Joe Musgrove, I think, is like a low-level ace, honestly, and I don't think Snell and Darvish make sense for them anymore. So if someone still believes in Blake, someone still believes in you, great.
Well, that ended up being a good trade for the Cubs, because the Cubs got 4 very good minor leaguers.
Yeah. I just think that Clevenger will be back next year, hopefully fully healthy. Gore, Paddock, and Weathers, that's more of the San Diego core of like a Jake Peavy that I remember.
Yeah.
Like Joe Musgrove and Jake Peavy have very similar styles, in my opinion. And I just think Snell and Darvish, one of them's got to go financially, and you didn't back it up with enough wins. Musgrove was your best pitcher.
And the biggest question in my mind about the Padres is Fernando. What physical condition is he coming back with? And, is his shoulder going to hold up? What's going to be done in the offseason to try to, strengthen it or whatever? Without him, they lose a little luster in that lineup.
Yeah.
So in my mind, the biggest question mark in San Diego is his health.
Yeah. Two thoughts I had about their catching situation that make sense. So the two teams right now that have biggest question marks are the Athletics and Yankees. Now the Athletics don't make sense because I don't think they'll contend. I think the Athletics are also looking to trade away. The Yankees, Gary Sanchez is hated by Yankee fans.
And his teammates.
Cole doesn't want to throw to him. He's got his own little personal catcher who doesn't hit well.
Yeah.
So I think you want some backup, some everyday person, which could be a Nola or a Carantini.
Or a starting catcher, and Sanchez is a part-time DH.
That's what I'm saying. I think that they need a catcher, and there's very little in free agency.
Yeah.
So they also need a first baseman. If they're not set with Luke Voigt or something like that, take Hosmer's contract and Carantini, send them for money relief to New York, and now they can figure out some stuff in San Diego.
And both would do well in Yankee Stadium because they're both left-handed hitters.
Hosmer would have to shave his beard, but yeah. So I think there's a possibility there. I think that lines up well. We'll figure out what happens. But I just think San Diego will be linked to trading a catcher this offseason. Who? We'll find out.
Yeah, and they have some deadwood they like to peddle as well.
Yeah, just big contracts. I think Hosmer and Myers are still talented. I think they're a little overpaid.
Yeah, and Hosmer's a great clubhouse guy.
Yeah, I like both these guys. If you're looking at the Machados, the Tatis, and eventually what will be a Jake Cronenworth contract, I don't think you value Hosmer or Myers more than those three guys. Dad, who do you want to talk to next? The Arizona Snakes or the Colorado Rockies?
Let's go with a team we've been to their stadium in the Rockies.
Yes. Coors Field. Cold as the Rockies.
Yes. Nice walk up to the stadium, by the way.
Yeah. Dad, obviously Trevor Story's gone. Not coming back to Colorado. John Gray may be coming back to Colorado, but we'll see.
No, he's not coming back.
I don't think so. I think Ian Desmond's going to retire. He's missed 2 seasons due to COVID concerns for his family. I think he's done with baseball.
Yeah.
And a low-level Chichi Gonzalez guy is also gone. So I think they need to replace Gray.
Yes.
They have some youth. A guy named Lambert. They just gave a great extension to Anthony Sensatella. But I think they still need some sort of innings eater. Those classic, low-level pitchers that need a home at this time of year.
The problem is who wants to pitch in Colorado and Denver.
Right, because you're not really going to rebuild your value.
Yeah.
Great season for Daniel Bard.
Great comeback story.
Yeah, and I think they'll be linked to a defensive replacement for Trevor Story, not necessarily offensive, but they do need a shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
C.J. Cron was a great story, too.
Yeah, they just, they kind of let that franchise slip away. They were good for a while. In fact, they were in wild card, 3-4 years ago with the Cubs, and they beat the Cubs in a wild card.
2017?
Something like that. But,
definitely not 2016.
No.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, if you really think about it, they had a competitive team not that long ago, and they started trading pieces away, making some really bad decisions. Not the great farm system they once had. They're building that back up. I just think they're destined to be, 4 or 5 again in that division, tough division. And we'll see, how they build that. The Arenado one was that was a mess. And that really left a bad taste in a lot of people. And why didn't Rockies trade Story when they had a chance at the deadline? Great questions.
Again, I still would like to say to Colorado, if you need an assistant GM, general manager, I'm available. I like Colorado. I'm happily work for you all.
A downtown townhouse, maybe in the $500,000 range, it can be worked out.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'm happy. I'll go to work every day. I won't, yell at Trevor Story. So yeah, I'm happy to clear. There's going to be some job vacancies.
Yes.
Well, let's close out the NL and the NL West with talking about Arizona. Arizona didn't have a great year. They have pieces, but I think they're going to do some trades. They just got Jordan Luplow from the Tampa Bay Rays, but I think that's a sign, Dad, that Luplow is going to be left field, and David Peralta finally gets traded. Mr. Triple, I was talking about him in the underrated team.
Yeah.
I really just think the Diamondbacks will be actually worse than the Rockies
I agree.
In the West next year. I guess just like this year, more of a repeat. But I think they trade some of their bigger names. I don't know about Ketel Marte. But I think they'll trade Merrill Kelly, maybe Zach Gallen, maybe some people in their bullpen. No one's going to take Madison Bumgarner's contract. But they're not going to re-sign Josh Reddick. They're not going to re-sign Cole Calhoun, in my opinion.
Lots of pieces to replace. Yeah. I think they go for a youth movement and build, and hopefully they can flip the standings somehow. They're almost like the Orioles, in their division. Such a tough division. How do you creep up and make a dent without major investments or major drafts and international draft?
Yeah.
They got ways to go, and so does Colorado. So they're looking for another tough season.
Yeah, we're only 20 years removed with their World Series championship, but that just feels so long ago.
Yeah, a great team.
Yeah. I don't know if you'll have Schilling and a Johnson on the same team again. But yeah, I mean, both the Rockies and Diamondbacks, I know we'll make jokes, especially about Colorado, but we want you to do well. You guys are those underdogs of that division.
You're right.
Financially forever will be. We want you to do well. We just don't know how to help.
Very important economically in your region because there's no competition. If Colorado, you get people come from multiple states to see you, and the same with Arizona. I mean, Arizona has all the people that are retirement age moving to Arizona. Good baseball teams are going to attract a lot of fans.
I hope
so. Let's look at spring training. They do exceedingly well in spring training for Arizona attendance. They just need to get a quality ball club. Again, either a youth movement or start spending money.
I agree. I just don't know when that's going to happen. I don't have a lot of names linked to Arizona this offseason.
Yeah.
We'll get into all that soon. This concludes the NL portion, the NL West of our offseason outlook. Like I said in the previous podcast, we would give a lot more attention to the bigger name teams in the West. We're going to move on to the AL. Probably just go East, Central, West again. And then we'll get into the top 50 free agent predictions. Certainly the climax of our day, Dad. that is certainly something what I'm looking forward to. Anything to add?
No, I think we did a great job with the National League, and I think it's going to be a very active offseason, depending on the negotiations and all that stuff. If they had a contract and the CBA was all fine, this might be the busiest offseason ever in baseball. Because look at the trade deadline.
Yeah. I like trades more than I like free agent signings because I think they're harder to predict. And because when we do our free agent like predictions, we do it like when we're filming right now, like in November. One trade, like, all right, you think a shortstop is going to go to Detroit, a big name shortstop, and then Didi Gregorius with the Phillies gets traded to Detroit. You're like, well, there goes my whole predictions, and that one trade can literally offset everything else. So if there was only free agent signings, I think we would predict a lot better. But those trades can just throw everything off.
It's true. Very true. Good point.
Well, let's move on to the American League, Dad. I'll be in another shirt, probably a Red Sox shirt this time. And yeah, keep watching. We appreciate you staying with us through each of these 20, 25-minute episodes.
Thank you.